everybody, welcome to episode 218 of Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. That's right, we're back, here to talk a shutout. Are you, wait, am I just now realizing you've been doing that the whole time the show has been going on?
I mouth that opening every single time, and I was just going to keep going when you said, so that people really don't know who's saying it. But then you did the shutout, and I was still pretty close. I was like, hello.
So I thought you were always doing like, I thought you were always like my hype man. You know, I thought you were doing like shouting, you know, like in a wrestling match when they shout at each other and you're just supposed to like feel the energy. You don't really need to know what they're saying. You just see like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I thought you were hyping in the corner, clapping my feet and clapping my hands and still holding on to the string so that, you know, I'm still obeying the rules as the babyface tag team.
Yeah, I'm really bummed right now. This whole time I thought you were hyping me up.
No, I was doing my own thing, man.
No, get that right out of your mind. I was not helping. All right. So, yeah, we've got another fun game to discuss.
Two of them.
Oh, that's right. We do have two games to discuss. We fought. No, I keep calling it like we fought back, but no, we had a 4-2 lead that we blew, and then we had to tie it up late. Right? Is my memory?
Yeah. So we did that. We deflated, and then we wasted all our goals in the Minnesota game, and then did nothing in Calgary.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about it. Clearly, the episode is titled. I should have put a question mark because I think it's more important we ask the question: do Zadina and Vrana, do they need more ice time? Because it really is weird, like to see how little offense we got, and then to also like drive down the line and see the likes of Sam Gagner getting more minutes than Vrana. And I get Vrana's coming back from an injury, but I mean, what are we doing? We had one shot through one period. I think we were halfway through the game and had 4 shots. Let's stop playing this game. We got to spread out the offense. Oh, okay.
It was a weird game, right? The shot disparity. Yeah. It definitely looked like Blashill said, "All right, guys, you know, I let you go up and down the ice. We saw how that turned out. So you know what? We're going back to last year." So then, by God, they went like last year. Instead of getting destroyed 9-2, it was just 3-0. So they're closing the gap a little bit.
You know what? I was gonna say with the shot disparity though, I was kind of thinking like you're crazy, man. But I think even with how many attempts were on net, so we'll say like Corsi attempts, Calgary had 69. And that's still kept the expected goals down to 2.55. So I think I know, like what you're saying is just so everybody doesn't get all up in arms, like, oh, they still allowed a bunch of shots. They did, but they weren't great opportunities, right? We can hang our hats on that. I mean, you give up 69 attempts on net, and your expected goals you walk away from this game is 2.55. You here, what do we want to say? Your expected goal per attempt, per Corsi attempt, that's pretty low. That's it's pretty lame. Pretty lame. Yeah, Calgary, you suck, man. 69 attempts. You blow. All right. Anyway, we got 40 attempts, so not so great.
No. So I mean, pretty lengthy number of games here where we've been playing like crap, and we're no longer a 500 team, going to 500. Now that we're 4 games, 4 more losses than wins here.
Curtis is aboard. What's going on, Curtis? He had to bust out the emergency Labatt's in the second, hoping to turn the tide. And of course, Curtis, it's now your fault because you said my bad. So
yeah.
I don't know. Is that Curtis? You got to let us know. Is this an unlucky beer, and you just thought this would be the time to turn it around? I won't blame you, Curtis. I've got so many other people to blame today. But Mike, go ahead. I've talked over you twice.
No, you're good. I don't know if that Magic Labatt's it didn't work for the whole team, but I think it did. There's just a little bit of a pour for Grace because he still did have a few moments in that game where he had a couple strong saves. I don't know that Lindholm goal is pretty deflating though.
Yeah,
where I saw Hronek just kind of go wild. Like an Allen Iverson crossover. He just flew out of the screen, and I don't really know what happened. It was like an NHL, 2K glitch where he just disappeared.
Well, we got to start with some of the, before we blame or point fingers, we have to start with some of our excuses here. It's a big reason we were not doing great.
The glue of the team.
I mean,
for the rest of the year.
Yeah, right. Robby Fabbri, as we mentioned earlier in the week in our emergency pod, Fabbri's out with a torn ACL. Mike, quick discussion point on this. I gave my thoughts. Not the same ACL that kept him out for a couple of years and probably got him traded to Detroit. Some people immediately said, "Oh, thank God it's not the same one." Is that? I don't know how I feel about that, because now we know we have two bum knees on Fabbri, and look, I don't want to make jokes out of it because this is awful. Like, can you imagine being Robby Fabbri and having a season and a half taken away from you because of one ACL tear? Now you've got another ACL tear. You're done for this season. What are you thinking about next season? Like, that could be a whole season gone for Fabbri. So I'll say this. I'm trying not to make jokes of the injury. I giggle at the, I guess, the fear. That's really what it is. I'm so uncomfortable thinking about it because really, I don't know if there is a good way to look at, oh, good, it wasn't the same ACL. I think it's not. It's like two different kinds of bad, right? Are popping up, and well, my work laptop just turned on behind me, so everybody. I have to figure out. Mike, you give me your thoughts, and I have my headphones so I can hear you, but I got to turn this off.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not sure what exactly people are too excited about for Fabbri to diversify which knee is getting injured here. But I do know I think what they're trying to get at is if you have recurring injuries on the exact same limb, or what have you. That usually means that it's going to be a wear and tear thing, and it's going to keep recurring over and over and over. So I guess on that point, I could kind of get on board with that at least we're kind of spreading the wealth a little bit, and maybe it's not just the one bad knee. Maybe he can, just two kind of weird fluky ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely disappointing, especially the timing, because if it's at the end of this season, it's also going to probably bleed the recovery time into the start of next season. So probably going to be a lot of lost hockey for the suddenly rich Fabbri. Luckily, his extension kicked in, and he's already going to be making money on this. So good for you, Fabbri, even though this is bad for you, Fabbri. And we get one Vrana, and we, maybe tongue-in-cheek about, Fabbri that, it seems like his positive contributions sometimes do get met or exceeded by some of the negative contributions on the ice. But, he's doing something right. Yzerman wanted to reward him, wanted to keep him around for a long time, and he is a high-effort guy. So, I mean, that is a presence that's going to be missed.
Yeah, you got to point out, too, I think the silver lining from, like, a management perspective, we're going to have to try and fill out this lineup for the rest of this year. Who knows if this is going to turn into something for next year, too. And we do see across the NHL strategic injured reserve placements, long-term injured reserve placements. Could be something for us where we could build out a lineup, develop another guy in this lineup, and give them a great chance somewhere in the top 6. And then Robby Fabbri can take his time to heal. Because, again, it looks like this is turning into a reoccurring strategy for all GMs across the league. Mike, Curtis, let us know it's a 50-50 shot on those Labatt's. Curtis, you that a 50-50 shot and you were going for it? What the? Damn it, Curtis. Yeah, I want to
those are pretty good. Those are pretty good odds.
Is it?
Those are pretty good odds. I mean, with the way our team's been playing, and especially 500 team go to 500. I think we need Curtis to keep doing more of those. Kind of get the record back.
Okay, all right, you're right. Curtis has clearly been doing this all season, and that's how we've been rolling through this 500. So we got to wait for the Seattle game to pop up so we can get closer back. We back in the 500
your sacrifice and your being a martyr for this Red Wing team, Curtis.
Especially drinking. I have to say that might be one of my least favorites.
I will say, Labatt, I don't
myself out
normally
there.
drink, but for some reason it does taste good with ice hockey.
I can get on board with that. Mike, but to bring up the Seattle game, we'll have our good boy Tyler joining us again, which is another reason this team was struggling so much. I think that's pretty clear. So you're talking about one shot through one period, 4 shots through what, 1.5, and then like we mentioned before,
So we poured it on in the third.
Woo!
Kidding, of course.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing didn't go great. I gotta blow this up so I can see it on my screen here. I mean the high danger chances were just ugly yesterday. Again, the defense not doing great up in front of Grice, but Grice played a heck of a game. I'm gonna give him that. I'll put heck in there. Heck's fine. But yeah, I mean we got lunched from every angle here, and it's the Tuesday, the Fabbri factor. Fethdar's aboard. What's going on, Fethdar?
Hey, my dude. What's up, Fethdar?
So, I mean, it's like, of course, things were going to be tough, right? But did they have to be as tough as they were actually made to be? Because I'm like, I mean, come on. Well, what are we doing? Why is Vrana on the third line in a game where Fabbri and Bertuzzi are out? So let's pivot the conversation in that direction now. So let's get into this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's still getting his legs underneath him, and I, it's not really fair to expect him to come in and play 17, 21 minutes. But it's just a really strong reminder of how little forward depth we have on this team, and especially as we keep piling on the losses and any kind of injury, it seems like we're just down a full peg or two from the team we're playing against. Man, those couple games above 500 days seem so long ago. But I do want to just throw out there for the Red Wings' benefit, they weren't playing like cellar dwellers. I mean, Calgary's been like white hot. I mean, I think 2 losses in their past 10 games. They're scoring really effectively. This is like a cup contender team. This isn't a terrible team by any means.
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, so the power play units we were rolling out, we've got Zadina and Vrana on the second power play unit, which means on the first power play unit, where you have your boys, Seider, Raymond, and Larkin. And I'm not calling Veleno a problem, but he's not there yet, right? And Gagne, what are we doing? I get it. Like he fits the spot because of the way for which side he's shooting, right? And that's fine. You can make that argument, but come on, let's just, if we know we're going to be this shorthanded and we're going to be playing the game, like think about the strategy we just talked about, Mike. You're limiting chances, right? That's what we're trying to do. Limit the chances, not necessarily the shots. We saw a ton of shots, but the chances, the amount of expected goal per attempt, super low in this game. So you've got to take advantage of those chances you've got, the few that you'll get on net. And I wanted to call out 2 things here because I for one, I thought they were kind of fun. But one of them is just Ken Daniels' reaction. I don't know if everybody saw this, but I pulled it last night. So we are gonna we're gonna test it here because I am gonna pull from Bally Sports, and so we could get a slap on the wrist for this one and lose this later. So for anybody who's listening to this on YouTube on a later date and you just hear dead air for the next couple of minutes, that's why. But it's just this amazing.
It's gonna be lost to the archives. This is a precious moment. You're only gonna get one shot at it, so glad you're here for it.
It's a great call of Larkin, Raymond leading the way on the power play, and of course Ken Daniels' reaction at the end when he realizes who's getting the puck once Raymond gets it into the zone. And I hope the audio works because it's just a 3-second clip, so it better work.
All right, here we go. I'll let you know, man. So far, nothing. That's starting.
Oh, you didn't hear that? Oh no!
No, that did not pipe through.
Oh my god. Well, here's the thing, everyone. I had it set. Share system audio. This is my favorite because this means I get to edit this later when I'm doing my podcast editing. All right. I guess I'll try it again. This is I'm glad I set it up only to have it be a wet fart delivery.
This is a hot take right here. Here we go. Are we ready? Come on, man. Fox 2, Eagle 20.
All right. So you're talking over it. So you're ruining it.
I didn't talk over anything, so I didn't hear a single thing, man.
You didn't hear anything?
Nope, not a thing. Let's move on. I don't think we're getting this clip to work. So Bailey's trying to protect us from getting pulled on YouTube. So I appreciate the effort.
I hate this so much.
We've talked about it.
I could throw my laptop through the window.
That happens. We've talked about it many times this season. This 500 team, if they are 100% healthy, they're playing at home, there's a good chance they're going to win half the games. We're not meeting most of those criteria, Matt. So I don't think that there's a lot of expectation for us to win this game. But we might not have a win until we can have Vrana comfortable enough to play on the first line with Larkin and Raymond. This strategy right now with, we're gonna have a goal scorer on every line. Yeah, but it's kind of dragging down Vrana. Even though he's already 16th on the Red Wings in goals, Matt, with 3 here through 3 games. But it's like you have to get Vrana with Larkin and Raymond to have a chance. At least one line could legitimately score. I don't think it's going to work with Nemestikov right now.
Well, yeah, this is okay. You see the replay. I know you see the replay.
Yeah, the visuals coming in.
All right, so Larkin coming in with Raymond. This wasn't the play I was trying to show off. That was Ken Daniels basically said, "Here comes Larkin into Raymond." The same Gagne. That is exactly how it sounded. But here's our play of Raymond taking it in. Mike, we're gonna see a beautiful pass across the ice to our boy Vladdy. And this is the kind of thing I feel like we could try to avoid if it was Vrana instead. So we'll speed this up just so this makes a little bit more sense. But cross the ice to Vladdy right out in front, and he banks it. This wasn't a save. He banks it off the outside of the net, which it's fine. We don't have Vladdy to be a finisher, right? So I'm not angry at Vladdy, but somebody pointed out you need someone to keep up with Larkin and Raymond for the time being. Okay, Mike, watch Vladdy on the bottom. Did he take a single stride? No, he's just cruising in. He's waiting for that beauty of a pass to come in. So get that garbage of we need some, Vrana just came back. He's got to get some time to get his legs underneath him. Vladdy didn't take a single stride once he got over into the offensive zone. So this is the type of thing where you talk about, see, this is the energy I needed. And then that replay not working completely deflated me, but I'm back. But that's the type of thing where if you're going to play this game, and again, shout at us. There were a ton of shots last night, but again, the calculation here for the amount of expected goal per attempt was limited last night. So they did go back to that game. They 100% did. So that means you're also not going to get a lot of attempts, which we proved. I think we don't really need a scientific analytic to explain that one, the one shot in one period. But anyway, you're playing that game. So then you have to take advantage of those opportunities because you're not going to get a ton. You're not going to get an opportunity every period for Raymond to have the space. Now, granted, that is a very hard pass to make, but Raymond's got the talent to do it. So if he's going to be passing across ice, there's got to be somebody that can finish. I love Vladdy. We know that. We all love Vladdy. But you could have had Vrana catching that one. Yeah. And Vrana can turn absolutely nothing into something. But there's different degrees of nothing. And when Vrana is surrounded by less than nothing, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. We can't play this game of balance the offense when we already didn't have a strong offense. Mike, when we were predicting Bertuzzi and Fabbri, we were predicting the lines a couple months ago. We knew Fabbri would be in there, right? It wasn't even a question. Is somebody going to get hurt for the rest of the season? With Fabbri in there, with Bertuzzi in there, we were still saying put Vrana on the first line because this isn't like an overloaded offense where you can find those opportunities at any time. Now, Vrana did score 3 goals in his first 2 games, but when it gets to be this tough, you got to make that change.
Yeah, I think the diagnosis is there. I just, unfortunately, these are human beings, and I just don't think that Vrana's ready to roll yet. So I think we're going to be waiting probably at least another week, Matt. I wouldn't anticipate that.
Then why is he on the ice? What are we doing?
The reason he's on the ice
is on the ice anyway.
The reason he's on the ice is he can get 13 minutes, 11 minutes, but he's not going to be able to play Larkin minutes. So it just, I guess Blashill doesn't really want to hot potato these guys through different lineups, throughout the game. So he's got his lines etched out, and it's less about him kind of spreading out the wealth, like talent-wise. For right now, it just kind of seems like minute-wise. Like, I can only play Vrana, about a sixth of the game. And I definitely want him in there for special teams. So that means he's got to be on the third line. So, Matt, I would anticipate we got games coming up against Edmonton and Vancouver on the road. Probably a couple more losses, Matt. I think our only chance is maybe next Saturday against Seattle to kind of get off this schneid here.
I would agree with you if Blash wasn't also throwing Vrana with Larkin and Raymond at different points in the last 2 games. Just do it the whole game. Like, the argument to not have him on the first line is so that you can have a guy who's healthy and ready to go on the first line. But that's where my video comes into play with Namestnikov bouncing it off the outside of the net.
I'm telling you, it's probably going to be another week.
I'm telling you, it shouldn't be.
Matt, he's a human being. No. He's not ready for 20 minutes a game with Larkin. He's not ready.
He's out there.
He can play, but he's still got to build up the endurance again. Kind of build up the calluses again, and it's just not there yet. I would hang tight.
Apparently, we're going to agree to disagree on the point that we made a month ago that we agreed on, but now we're going to disagree. Ooh. All right.
Ultimately, he'll be back up there, but right now he just doesn't have the wind. He hasn't been playing all season, Matt. Give him a little time. It's been 3 games. He's already 16th on the Wings in goals.
No,
he's 1 more goal from moving up to like top 10 already. So let him catch his breath as he's already leading the team in goals this week.
I say let him catch it on the first line, because the first line, no lines were effective.
3 goals in 3 games, man. He's getting there. Just give him a minute. Give him a minute, okay, before we promote him to the first line minutes. Just hold on. Additionally, Matt, this is another plant for the Yzer plant, so he might just be, Well, we know he can score, but we'll just give him like 5 minutes a game. We'll pull him out.
So this is more just about the ice time, because it's not like outside of the analytics side of things where we see that Zadina does have good numbers to play around with, where his expected goals for, his expected his Corsi for numbers, like they're above the top half of the league. It's just where the analytics struggles, the defensive side. But anyways, Mike, that guy who has proved, if you take, again, what did we just say about the advanced analytics? A top half of the league guy for expected goals for, Corsi for, got 12 minutes last night. That means Michael Rasmussen, Giovanni Smith, Pius Suter, Vrana, Namestnikov, Foligno, Gagne, and of course, these 2 make sense, but Raymond and Larkin all had more minutes. The only forward, and I guess we should probably include Witkowski in this because he was technically a forward according to the lineup. So maybe the only 2 forwards that did not get more minutes than Zadina were Ernie and Witkowski. Granted, that makes sense. Zadina should have more minutes than those 2, but I think Zadina could make an argument to have more ice time than Rasmussen, Giovanni Smith. I'll put out there, with all the injuries, with everybody missing. Right? The list just went on to only include everybody but 2 forwards. So what are we doing there? And again, How much longer of a conversation can we have on this? I just think if you're looking at a team that can't find offense, and from the only number that is consistent for Zadina all season has been these attempts on net and the expected goals for when he's on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Just give him a few more minutes. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's almost it should kind of worry you a little bit as a Red Wing fan when he's not getting minutes, because it's not just, oh man, Zadina's, he's not playing well enough to earn those minutes. The other problem is usually players like that, you want to give them minutes around the trade deadline to give them more opportunities. Oh, they're on a hot streak because they got a goal or two right before the deadline. So I mean, if we're trading him, his value could not be lower. He's not playing, he's not producing. Again, I think we talked about it a little bit on the last episode, but if you are the rest of the NHL, who says no? It's probably the rest of the NHL in terms of what kind of trade can be made here, because you're going to be buying a lot of Red Wings low with this losing streak, and Zadina definitely would be pretty low.
To that point, though, right? I mean, to that point, we're probably just playing this game of he's not getting traded. And maybe we're just trying to make sure that contract is in our favor when we're signing.
I think Zadina's doing a good enough job of that on his own, man.
Yeah, no, but the 12 minutes would also not help. But anyways, I don't know. So that's all the bad news. I mean, clearly, Mike, I haven't given you a good enough argument. Wouldn't mind hearing in the comments from any of the folks that are listening. Got to thank y'all for tuning in. If you are having a little bit of fun, if you agree with one of our two takes on whether or not Vrana and Zadina should get more minutes or not, either way, look, you can like us from either side of the argument. So you can still throw in that like real quick for us. Does us a great deal of good. The subscription to the channel so you guys don't miss any episodes or emergency episodes like I've had to do 2 in the last week.
And comment if you think Matt should give Vrana. Just let him ease into the pool. Matt wants him in the deep end.
Eric throwing out there, Blashill destroys another prospect. Somebody did point out that this is the funny. I know the argument is just that no, Seider's already good to go. But Seider's second half of the season so far, if you break the season in two halves, he's playing at an elite level. Where at the first half of the season he was playing as a very good rookie. Now he's at elite level. So it's pretty.
Does Blashill get credit for that?
See, that's the thing. You can't give him credit for that. Seider was already good to go. I'm kidding. It's an interesting thing we've played around with all season.
So essentially what we're saying is Blashill just opened the Christmas present. He didn't actually build it and wrap it.
But not with Zadina. He put it together incorrectly.
Right. Okay. He made a model train that doesn't run.
All right. So I know we have a couple other topics here. I put in a slide. I can't see what it is. So I'm just going to pull it up. We're going to take a look here. Oh, right. I was going to ask you with all the issues with the lineup, if there's anybody on the Griffins you'd like to call up. And I was taking a look. I know I started the season a pretty big fan, or at least I wanted to see Chase get a shot. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I think the easy pick here is just Berggren. I did not set this up well, so I don't want to have a huge conversation about it. But there isn't too many choices here on the forward side that are really going to get you excited, unless you want to see Kirill the Thrill, who I think he might actually still be injured right now. So yeah, I
don't know if Witkowski's really moving the needle for anybody. I think at least if you announced Berggren playing, that would kind of wake up a few more eyeballs to pay attention to the game. But in this losing streak, it's almost like you don't want these guys to touch that right now. It's just kind of a gross black sap. And you don't want them to dampen their development being in the toilet cesspool right now. I don't know if I'm really advocating for that. I understand the point, but I don't know. Do you really want Berggren come up, have a little cup of coffee, Matt?
I think it's guaranteed that he'll be up in April. I think he'll get a shot. They'll keep him within that realm of the 9 games. I mean, with Fabbri being down, I think it's inevitable, right?
Yeah. But I like that comment from Silver there. All this misfortune happening at the worst time. I'm genuinely curious what Steve will end up doing, but I surmise it'll be a partial teardown. Yeah, Silver, right now it feels so bleak. It's like, my God, maybe they are going to entertain offers for, like, Bertuzzi. Where we kind of joked about it way at the start of the season. And then we saw what Bertuzzi could contribute, even if he missed a few, games in Canada. But man, this team's been so rough against the good teams in the NHL. It kind of makes you think, damn, maybe we got to load up on even more draft picks and prospects, because
I just
doesn't feel like we're a player or two away.
I think he's if he's moving, he's an off-season move, because when you're moving a guy like Bertuzzi, I think you're going to get undercut on the value with the possibility of him not being able to play any games in Canada. So if you trade him now, before we know what's going to happen in Canada over the next year, and if Bertuzzi would be allowed into the country next year, I think that's where you wait until you can get the most value out of him. I think right now, if you move him, you're gonna lose, because you're losing a top tier talent. And in that conversation, when you're trading Bertuzzi, they're gonna say, yeah, but I might not get this guy through the entire playoffs. So then what do? Then you give him like a conditional pick where it's like, well, if he plays a couple of series in the playoffs, I'd like a first round pick. But if he misses a couple of series in the playoffs, then it's a third round pick. And it's like, well, what are we even doing then? Then we're just moving Bertuzzi to move him.
No,
which we don't need to do.
It wouldn't be that bad. He definitely fetch at least a first rounder.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to. We're just forcing this move for what? And you're going to lose value on him because of the possibility you're not going to get to play him. That team who gets him isn't going to get to play him in Canada. So that's where. He's not in that realm where you have to move him right now. And the reason that you could move Mantha was because he was going to fetch the most value he could last season. You're not going to get that back with Bertuzzi right now.
Yeah, nobody's saying you need to, Matt. That was never said. But if you realize that this team is not a player or two away, and you got to kind of, restack, draft pick wise, prospect wise, and you obviously are not going to give up, one of our 19 or 20-year-old guys. You got to give up somebody with value, and the only real tradable value guy I would say at this point is Bertuzzi.
I mean, I can get an
accomplished NHL scorer who could play on your first or second line. And again, I'm not dying to trade him, but it's just this streak has been so bad, and it feels like there's such a gulf between us and playoff teams. Whew, it's very humbling, and it kind of makes you nervous that, when this offseason comes, whatever the best possible outcome could be, it seems like you're going to need yet another offseason. So that means you're looking at 2 more years of, about 500.
Yeah. I think, a lot of it too is we're looking at, what happens when the goaltending takes a step back too, which has definitely hurt us in the last couple of weeks. But I think, yeah, I'm arguing another point. I think you're right that if the right trade came along, I think you'd absolutely have to entertain it. And a couple of weeks ago, we did our trade deadline expendables, and we put a lot of guys out there, and it was like, if you got a Mantha offer, you take it. And that's where you get a replacement player. That it doesn't have to be Vrana replacement, right? Because that was still kind of up in the air. We were just kind of like, wow, we got a pretty good winger back. But then you also fetch a draft pick too. And I think, then you have to take on a guy to get another draft pick kind of thing. Like that kind of trade, I'm still kind of hesitant on right now. I guess it definitely depends on who you're getting back. But there still are, I think I've said this quite a few times this season, there are very few names on this team that I am, not willing to entertain a trade. And it's pretty much, I think the easiest thing right now is to say you would entertain a Bertuzzi trade, no problem. I don't think right now is, again, this, side note, the asterisk, I don't think right now fetches you the best value. But for sure, I mean, it's Larkin, Raymond, and Sider. Those are my boys. Those are the only guys really that you're really looking at. And it's about who would teams actually want to have on their team. Is that, that's part of the conversation there. But yeah, it's rather short list for who's on the active roster right now. All right. We had a few more topics. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, too, in terms of definitely now being sellers. I mean, we have 55 points on the season. We're like the 11th worst team. And as far as, getting better, for draft lottery odds, the only team really in our scope right now is the Islanders. We could drop back down to like 10th. And we have a point up on them. And I believe we have a game either next week or the week after. So that's going to be pretty big for the standings.
Well, let's throw this out there. Downer.
A downer on this episode?
Downer says, I don't think we're big sellers at the deadline. Letty, maybe Nemistikov, maybe one or two others, but I think those are the bigger names traded.
Downer, you are right there, because I don't know who else is really a name that the Red Wings would feel comfortable trading.
Well, you got to throw this out there, Mike, because this actually might be, to your point, maybe there is value to be fetched from a Tuesday trade this season. Hot stove segment on Hockey Night in Canada from somebody who I can't really trust, but it was a big thing on Twitter last night, so I'm going to pretend like this actually is news. Elliot Fried and Jeff Merrick reporting that every big name will actually not be traded. And then he goes on to say, excited for the trade deadline. So it's basically this. Now, what I've seen is Elliot Friedman going down the list of, the guys who are out there being named to be the hottest targets. Are the ask is way too high from everybody. So that's kind of what I've seen. I did not see this Hockey Night in Canada segment. So if this was just a joke by Editor and Jay, I think it's a joke based off of what Elliot Friedman has been kind of tweeting out and putting in his 32 thoughts now, right? Yeah. Putting in his 32 thoughts. So basing it off that, Mike, I think a guy like Nick Leddy skyrockets if the big names aren't moving. But also, to your point, if teams feel they absolutely need to make that upgrade, and somebody comes calling Steve, and Steve's like, I'm not moving him, and then the ask for Bertuzzi just keeps going up and up. There's a possibility there. But yeah, two thoughts here, Mike. The NHL trade deadline starting to suck. Starting to suck big time. But the other thing, I think this does help the Wingdings, because they don't have the high value targets, but they definitely have guys that before we were talking about, how deep into trade deadline day do these guys get moved, and how little value could they collect. But now, if nobody's getting moved and you have more reasonable acquisitions out of Letty and Nemistikov, maybe that value gets kicked up a little bit, because nobody can pick anybody up, and everybody's going to be calling Steve for Letty and Nemistikov. So I feel like that's at least good news for the Wings, that if all the major names out there are getting a high tag, then, some of these teams are still willing to part with those draft picks. And a team like the Red Wings has guys where you don't need to ask for too much, but probably their value gets kicked up a little bit. Or at the very least, we will see those names move because nobody else is moving. So a few things to just kind of pick through. It depends on where, how much coffee you had in the morning to come to that conclusion. But that's where my head's at. I read that note. And I said, oh, good. That means we will fetch some assets for Letty and Nemistikov.
Matt, can I ask you one thing about?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to pull something up here before I embarrassed myself.
Sure.
I know that we're hearing a lot about the deadline, and including from this show, being kind of quiet Red Wings side. Are you still seeing stories about, is it Jakub Chychrun? Chychrun?
Yeah. From the Yotes.
From the
Coyotes.
He lit us up. Yeah. That there's still rumors of him being a Red Wing.
Whoa. What?
Yeah. But it's absurd because the asking price is more than like Zadina, for example. It looks like they'd also want a prospect and a first-round pick. That sounds like way too much.
So I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that the Red Wings were actually in the running for him. But I have seen their ask is insane. I've seen a couple of first-round picks, and that's why so many teams are just like, nah, I'm good. So a couple of first-round picks, a player that can play now, to fill out their roster and a prospect is the last I saw for Chychrun. You're getting a very, I mean, we saw him light us up. When the Coyotes are playing good, he'll put points on the board, which I think is a fine statement to make. But he's also coming at a very nice value. Like you see a young defenseman, great contract right now. And yeah, he's a 200-foot defenseman. I think he'd be a great pickup. I just think that's right now for the Wingdings. I don't know if that's in our realm.
No.
Especially if you looked at our prospect load right now, heavy on the defensive side. I'm right now worried the more we look at the forwards. I mean, we can get excited like the Red Wings put out today, the Carter Mazur video. That's fun. But then, you see the Red Wings prospect guy, like, oh yeah, Mazur's doing great. If you're a Red Wings fan, you got to be excited. And then Scott Wheeler gets mixed in the video, and he's like, yeah, you're probably looking at 4 years of college and then a couple more years in the minors. And you're like, damn it, we're 6 years away from seeing Mazur be a potential, roster insertion. So Scott Wheeler definitely dampening the flames of excitement for Carter Mazur in that video released earlier today. Those are our forwards. Is it looks like there's a lot of guys who, we talked about it a couple episodes ago. How many great seasons are going down in the NCAA right now, and there's just a lot of like, if this works out, it'll be great. But I don't know how many guys we're looking at that are in our prospect pool forward wise that you can definitely pinpoint as like a top 6 forward at this point. So that's where I'm like, let's find some forwards before we start picking up and dropping a ton of prospects to grab a defenseman. Because I think we're going to be at that point too, where, I mean, Seider looks good. Everybody loves Edvinsson. So that gives you 2 pairings right there. If you can pick up some legitimate, veterans to kind of line that up. And that's more the direction I think I'd want to go in moving forward. But that
hopefully Edvinsson's ready to immediately come in and be a Hall of Famer like Mo Seider next year. We could really use a second Hall of Fame defenseman on the other side.
Well, this is a good transition. Edvinsson, you can see down at the bottom of the screen here, 17 points so far for Frölunda this season. Pointed out by Ice Hockey Gifts. Mike?
Hey, it's a
three guys.
Pretty impressive list there.
Yeah. Now, I will say, I mean, a bit of an asterisk with Rasmus Dahlin. Of course, we're still waiting for it's not like we're getting Norris votes for Dahlin, but still, you get the kind of production. I know a lot of people have kind of poo-pooed, oh, he shouldn't have been drafted that high. He still produces quite well for the team he's playing on. But of course, number 1 on this list, and what we're talking about for all the podcast listeners, under 19 defensemen in SHL history who have put up more points than Simon Edvinsson's 17 points with 5 games remaining. Number 1 on this list. Number 3 on the list is Rasmus Dahlin. Thomas Johnson, number 2, maybe Janssen. I will confess, he's a 78-79 player. I do not recognize that name even a little bit.
Nope.
And number 1, Victor Hedman. All right, so
anytime you're on a list of Victor Hedman, it's probably going pretty well for you.
Right. I mean, that's where you get excited. Again, I would not poo-poo Rasmus Dahlin. I think I politicked that well enough to where I did not rightly poo-poo him, and I am not unpoo-pooing him.
Should he be listening to the show and be on the cusp of signing with Detroit at some point in his career, it will not be Red Wings Rant fault if he doesn't come here.
Right. So yeah, at least that was a great transition, though. We talked about bringing over Chychrun and then evolved it into, no, I think we're good. We got Simon Edvinsson on the way. That was a great organic transition. So thank you, Mike.
I had one more for you, Matt, because I know we just got Vrana back. Are we not on the cusp of getting Mitchell Stevens back?
We are. And you know what? Our boy Tristan just showed up. He did want to give his 2 thoughts. I know I'm late to the conversation. Jeff Blashill putting Gagne out with the goalie pulled instead of Zadina. The man should be gone. Again, I think the writing's on the wall. I know performance art. He's not here on this episode yet. If he does miss an episode, we will see him in the comments later. So he's gonna hear this, what I'm saying now. He told us he thinks Splash is gonna be around next season. And I wouldn't say there's a 0% chance of that. I think I'm just at the point where I'm good.
Oh, I got a question for you, Matt.
Yeah.
Higher likelihood of being a Red Wing next year, Zadina or Blashill?
Oh, Jesus. That's a whole episode. Let's see. Anybody listening right now, please throw in the comments on YouTube. Oh my God. I'm gonna say
I gotta let you have that one marinate, because this is former first rounder, still not really producing, but man, look at those flashes he shows. Look at those expected goals.
Well,
Blashill?
We wanted to bring up
Matt. He wildly changed his strategy year to year. And he almost had us as a 500 team until we started playing real hockey teams. Matt, he figured out a way to infuriate you with Vrana getting goals, but still being on the third line. But Matt, what other bald guy is really going to do, much better wins above replacement? Zadina or Blashill, the likelier return next season?
I'm gonna stick to it. I said Zadina. I'm going to stick with it. Zadina is more likely to return.
Wow.
Right?
Man.
I mean, he's going to come at a cheap price.
I think that this streak of Red Wing hockey is so bad. I don't know if it could be the talent. We know we don't have any depth. I think you could honestly see Blashill come back and Zena be gone. But B-Van is coming in there already. Blash out.
Curtis with a Zadina. Eric with a Zadina. I love this. Is Curtis throws out there. Eisman's glare during the Yotes blowout wasn't aimed at Zadina. Great point, Curtis. A+. So here's B-Van though. He is going to expand that. He says I meant, he's saying I meant Blash will be gone. Okay, so here's what I thought B-Van was about to say. I thought he was saying Blash will be gone, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm picking Blash. But anyway, B-Van is also on the Zadina train. So yeah, I think the writing's on the wall. I think the rest of the season is just going to be rough. I think you got to grin and bear it. Don't grit and bear it, Mike. It is grin and bear. There might be a podcast in the Hockey Podcast Network that accidentally named their podcast the wrong name.
Let me give you one third option. Is it? So I asked what was...
I'm going to throw out a comment to... Go ahead.
No, just the third one. Are they both going to be gone next season? Is this going to be a player on the move for Yzerman? And is he also going to be looking for a new bald guy on the bench?
I was going to kind of lean into that and say, if I had to keep one, it's probably Zadina. But if you had to put money down on both of them leaving, I don't think you'd be in a lot of trouble there. Mike,
the only reason that it's a even tougher question is whose fault is it? Is it Blashill's fault for not finding a way to develop this guy and kind of unlock his potential, or is Zadina just bringing Blashill down?
I don't know, but you asked for a bald man, Mike. Do you have
another bald man ready?
Is Paul Maurice bald enough for you? He's definitely balding. There's some fuzz on top. Would you require Paul Maurice to shave the rest of that little fuzz he's got left?
I don't know what it is.
On YouTube right now, because this is Tristan's. Bring in Paul Maurice. If we could call upon Igor Larionov and get him in North America, that would be amazing. I do wonder the possibility of that happening.
Outside of Babcock, the Red Wings have almost said, remember the New York Yankees would make you shave off your facial hair? It's like when you get anointed as a Red Wing coach, we shave you bald.
He doesn't have much left.
We shave you bald and polish the head. Then you're ready to coach the Red Wings.
This is one where this didn't work out in Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg has had the problem of a great support from the fan base, but it's just not a place that free agents want to go. So they have this awful game to play of, we need our prospects all to line up at the same exact time. We need contracts to work out, and eventually guys just want to leave. And it hasn't been working. And Paul, let himself go. He fired himself this past, during this season, saying I can't make it work, which is just like the most heartbreaking thing. To be that self-aware too, to say like I need to go because these guys need a new voice. Yeah, so that's something I'd consider.
I have the quote ready
awareness.
too, man.
From Paul?
Yeah, if you'll allow me some arrogance, I feel in better position than anyone to know that this team needs a new voice. They haven't quit on me, but they need somebody that can get them to that next place. Wow. Leaves with a record of 315, 223, and 62. Pretty good record, man. Definitely better than what we've been doing the past couple of years. Is this another sneaky move where he, maybe got a little phone call from an Iser plan, man?
Oh,
this says God. The Jets players were stunned. They were stunned that this happened.
All right. I gotta say, that would be amazing. The way Steve walked away from the Lightning, and then Paul Maurice gets the call. Huh? That's all I got. Yeah, I'm out of here. I'll come to Detroit. No problem. That would be... Oh my God, that would be amazing. I think I would put on the aluminum cap immediately, and we would own that as our opinion on what happened with Paul Maurice from day one. But we do have some good comments coming in though. Curtis wants Babcock to shave his head and come in as prison Mike. I kind of like that. Also from the perspective of him shaving his head and pretending like we don't recognize him. I think that would be kind of funny. But of course, as always, the opinion of the show is screw Mike Babcock. I hope he never lands another NHL job.
I think that if Babcock came back, it would be more like the episode where Dwight dressed up as Jacques Souvenir and tried to interview again to be the Red Wing head coach. And then they'd be, one question, did you fire a gun in the office? Yes, but I think that would be a closer office analogy there, as Dwight coming back as somebody who fired a gun in the office. Scotty was pretty bald.
I was going to say.
He was George Costanza bald, Eric. I don't know about that.
Yeah, Eric threw in there Scotty wasn't bald. Now, if you look up Scotty Bowman, the first picture that comes up is him not being bald. But if you go to the 2002 Stanley Cup parade, every picture is him wearing a hat, which we all know is because he's hiding that bald head. But yeah, he's got a shiny Q going right now. So I would argue against that. He was definitely balding from day one.
He was an active bald. Balding, yes.
Curtis, Claude Julien. Here we go. That's another good one. I
want to just get together a nice collage of all the bald hockey goalie coaches that we could have for our Red Wings. Just have all the bald heads kind of meet in the middle. I think would be kind of cool.
I think this is Eric conceding. T-Money, hair will be gone after one season.
T-Money, that is an interesting caveat. Because is it that you come in bald or the Red Wings play makes you go bald?
Jeff did have hair when he started. So that T-Money, you might have the winner here. You might have the opinion.
It's like when you look at presidents after their term, you're like, whoa, that guy aged a lot.
After 4 years.
Yeah.
B-Van thrown out there. We're going to head on over to Sweden. I think there's too much hair in Sweden. But yeah, I think we talked about in the last episode.
This means that we should not recruit Fedorov as our coach because he always had really nice hair, man.
Do we want to ruin that? Jesus. I don't know.
We want to put that hair on the line. In a hair
you still want to have you want to have a nice looking banner raising ceremony, but you want you want the Worm and Fuzzies to come back. And you don't get the Worm and Fuzzies if you don't see that nice head of hair on Sergei. So I think you save it for after the banner raising, then you can hire Sergei and ruin his hair. Was that an okay strategy?
I can get on board with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that hair could had a lot of smoking hot tennis players setting sail over to come say hi to him. So lest we forget the power of the locks.
We did have a couple of topics left, or at least a couple of points. Mitchell Stevens, Mike, wearing the blue jersey in practice. I just wanted to kind of build up some sort of excitement for him because he's at least playing better than Rasmussen and Joe Veleno, who I'm not tossing these guys into the garbage.
How's he doing compared to Witkowski?
Witkowski doesn't get a slide. There's
Okay,
not
that's
enough. Yeah, there's not enough.
not
time
enough
on
data
that one.
for that future All-Star. All right.
Exactly. So, not taking like full dumps on the chests of Veleno and Rasmussen here, but more or less just trying to say, I think there's something to be excited about with Mitch, because there's been a lot of, all of a sudden people hate Mitchell Stevens, and when he got hurt, we were all saying, "Oh, poor Mitch! Like, he was having such a good start. We wanted to see, like, him get some consistent ice time and things start to work out for him." That's where my head has been at this whole time. I couldn't wait for him to come back, and all of a sudden it's like, well, who cares about Mitchell Stevens? He sucked when he played for us, and he did not. I mean, you're talking about a fourth line center that will be put in the situation starting in the defensive end, and we make that point all the time. That's something I think gets ignored by folks when they take a look at these advanced analytics, and you look at somebody's expected goals for being low, or Corsi for being low, the per 60. But it also depends on where you start on the ice. Mitchell Stevens, fourth line, are going to start in the defensive zone most of the time. So what are we doing? It's not that bad. So I'd say let's get excited for Mitch. He's probably 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I mean, we've been dying for I'm saying peak. All right, don't laugh when I drop these names. Like a peak Draper, Darren Helm.
There's nothing. Oh my God!
A speedy defensive forward. Not just a guy who's on the fourth line because he's not skilled enough to be on the second or third line, but like a guy with an actual role, a honed role. So I think I'm kind of pumped for Mitchell.
Right before you threw that out there, Tristan was in the comments.
Oh, Tristan, we're vibing, buddy. We're vibing.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole quote was telling Mitchell Stevens can be a fourth line centerman for us for a year. This is a little parcel tongue at the end of that one. Maybe be like a Draper. Absolutely.
Now, the scary thing about Mitchell, and you guys can go back and watch we did a profile on Mitchell Stevens back in November, December. The scary thing is that he's had 4 seasons taken away from him now with injury. He's very young. 4 seasons is a lot. So you just got to kind of keep that in the back of your mind as we all hope for the best for Mitchell. But I mean, if you see one more major injury, you got to think, that might be it. So you got to really cross your fingers moving forward with Stevens. But still, I'd say this is something to be excited about, especially with a team that playing like it is. So some stability down in the bottom 6 would be nice. And I think Mitchell Stevens adds at least that. Curtis on board too. I got to throw out there. We're making friends in here. Curtis, Tristan, now friends. Beautiful to see. All right, Mike, we have, I got to give another shout out. We had Pothead 58. I absolutely love you guys are awesome to listen to. This is from Apple Podcasts. Quality content, very entertaining. Reminds me of my brother and I discussing, more so bantering, each other over sports. Love it. Keep up the good work. And let's go Red Wings. 5 stars. Pothead 58. You are the man. Thank you. Mike, we've got our streak going here. Every episode, we've gotten a new review on Apple Podcasts. Does the world to our numbers. We really appreciate it, guys, as we keep trying to grow here. I appreciate everybody that stopped by for the Levy episode that I threw out last week. So that happened right after we stopped recording. And then, we had the Robby Fabbri quickie episode too. So I got to throw out the appreciation there for everybody who stopped by for the 3-minute episode or whatever I put together there. It does mean a lot. If you guys could do the very least for us, would just be throwing a like on the YouTube page here or on the episode. And if you guys are listening on the podcast now on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we'd appreciate that shout out, that rating, subscription, review, the thumbs up. I'm not really sure. Was Spotify doing a star rating? Many hoozles.
They do some stars. Yeah.
However that works out, we really appreciate it, guys. And we do have, our stuff on the shop. It's bodpodcast.com. Click the shop button on the homepage. And I've got to take 5 minutes to put our Yzerman fleece up there. But when we do get a trade, we are going to do in our next, from that trade, next live episode, we'll be giving away some fleeces. So you got to tune in for that. We'll have our Yzer plan fleece ready to go. But we got to wait for some darn trades to come in. So when that happens.
Yeah. Before we go, it's okay. I don't think you did for this one. We're still waiting for something. I think we have the Oilers game coming up. Did you want to tease that one too before our next episode?
Loss.
Is it by how many goals, Matt?
Are we doing? Is this like a draft? We're sponsored by DraftKings. Matt,
We are sponsored.
The Matt special. I'm gonna say. All right, we still don't have Tuzzi or Fabs. I mean, Witter's going to be out there, so you got to think at least 5 goals. I think.
Woo,
right? Five goal differential. All right, so here's my thought process. Right, even if you put Vrana on the first line, still got to compete with a couple of lines on Edmonton, and with how bad our bottom 6 is playing, and Edmonton's biggest problem is their bottom 6. We might be, with how we're playing right now, one of the few teams that Edmonton can compete with bottom 6 wise. So and we've talked about it a bunch. Our first line from advanced, the advanced analytics perspective, like we talked about them at the beginning of the year. Jay Fresh actually, with his numbers, had them listed as like a top 5 line, and that was, I should say that was actually Bertuzzi and Vrana, but Lucas has definitely added a ton to this first line, so it's still a top 10 first line in the league. But I mean, you're talking about going up against Connor McDavid, so he adds so much, gives up a lot, but not enough for us to be able to keep up. So I'm joking about the 5, but I don't know if we're only going to be able to roll one line, or God, no, let's say we spread the offense again and we get 5 shots on net through the whole game. It could get ugly. Which would suck because we want Ken Holland to see Nick Leddy play well and, put in a bid. So we need Nick Leddy to put up 5 or 6 points against Edmonton. Just that game.
Man, give me an upset special in this one.
You want an upset special? All right.
I'm doing an upset special.
Is this an overtime win?
They've been on a cold streak, and I think it's because they don't really hate the teams they were playing. Like, we played okay against Tampa. Florida, we don't really hate. I think we just acquiesce defensively and allow them to dominate us. Coyotes, we were kind of like, it's the Coyotes. So the Coyotes were licking their chops and munched on some hot wings. Minnesota, I mean, hey, it's Minnesota. Hey, we're going to beat you 6-5. Is that okay? I mean, how mad can you be? And then Calgary, we just never play well against them. But Edmonton, I feel like we get it up. You know what I'm saying? We get it up. If you know what I mean? What I'm getting at?
Yep.
I feel like we get it up for Connor McDavid over here. And Matt, I smell a little 4-3 win.
All right.
I think we bust the streak. But I still predict us losing to Vancouver and Seattle if we manage to win the Edmonton game.
Whoa. See, now I would say, I think what would happen is we get blown out by Edmonton. We're close against the Canucks, and then we could probably, I don't know. It'll definitely be close in Seattle. No, you know what? Maybe it would be a blow, because Seattle, the Red Wings are still like a big market to bring over, and a team like Seattle would want to embarrass the winged wheel, I feel like.
Yeah, they're looking at this game to kind of start winning again.
So maybe you are right. Maybe I don't know. We're diving too deep into what I first tried to make a joke segment out of. I mean, one episode ago, I kind of went through the next month and couldn't find a win. So, of course, a lot of that was out of frustration to losing 9-2 to Arizona. Try to find a worse team than Arizona on this schedule moving forward. Not a lot of options. So
yeah,
it's going to be painful.
Give me that. Give me that upset special, man. I'm buckled in.
All right, I'll give it to you. I mean, Seattle too. We'll get the Tuzzi back, so that'll be a big difference too. Hopefully, we don't build any chemistry in Edmonton or Vancouver, because then Tuzzi's going to ruin it.
Yeah.
All right. Curtis throws out there. The boys do get up for Kenny Holland. Hell yeah, they do.
Woo! Yeah.
Oh, Curtis, thank you so much. Said great video for the Ollie video. Oh, you know what? We did have to throw. Can I do this? I think I took a screenshot.
We will allow it, man. Unless you're going to show a screenshot to your camera. Is that what you're about to do?
David Burns threw out there in our last shorty episode. Enjoy the spirit, guys. In all key perspective, consider a charity plug for folks along the Black Sea for upcoming videos. So I just wanted to throw out this from David Burns' perspective of throwing out a charity plug. I think it's what's a good one, Mike? I know you can donate if you head to Twitter right now. You can actually find a link on the top of the bar to help fund Ukraine. I'm going to throw that out there. We're going to hurt Igor Larionov and Sergei Fedorov's bid to take over. I'm just kidding. I'm making a joke out of it now, and this is awful. But yeah, the best link I can think of off the top of my head, and this is the one where I made a small donation. But if you head on over to Twitter, you can click on the Ukraine button up in the search bar. And it'll take you to some links for you to do a little bit of your own research, figure out where you want to donate. But I would say if we could throw that little plug out there at the end here, I would love it if you guys did that. If you don't have time to do the likes on the YouTube page, you don't have the time to do the subscriptions or the reviews, I thought it was a good point. I'm sorry, by David, and I forgot your last name, Burns. That we aren't doing enough of that. So yeah, I would really appreciate it if you guys if you had the funds. And of course, everybody has their own. I don't want to force anybody to do anything. That's where I'm leaning right now. Of course, to support Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, if that one you're not ready to touch that one yet, there's always MichiganHumane.org. I'm never gonna steer people away from that.
Good
Two
point.
easier ones. Yeah.
As a much less difficult topic to bring up. Go help some pups. But thanks, guys. We'll have to come up with something so we have like a Price is Right sort of ending moving forward. Don't forget to get your pets spayed and neutered. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Oh, Jared Shaw, this is a good one. End daylight savings time.
Amen.
Can we say that every episode? Is there a charity we could donate to for that?
Yeah, it's like the worst day of the year.
Yeah, I mean, there's more banter for that, for how early my daughter got up today, considering.
Oh, she was celebrating.
That's nice. The clock an hour forward, and she was up an hour earlier than she normally is, and we were like, "What are you doing?
We don't get a break."
So we lost 2 hours today. So thoughts and prayers.
Pour one out for those last 2 hours. Sorry.
All right. Sorry for the clunky finish here. I did that and I didn't prepare properly. David, I hope we did it justice. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all Wednesday.
On the flippity flip.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
see you on the flippity flip. All right. Toodaloo.